Good evening. Welcome to Zentropy Aviation. Today's video is going to be, today's prepared video is going to be on a Soviet-era Tupolev 134, the TU-134. This is an aircraft developed by Alexei Klutchko, who is also known as KAI31. He has been an absolutely amazing developer who has really put a lot of work into this model. He has helped me out tremendously in trying to figure out how to get this thing started and to how to operate it. We've spent quite a bit of time on the phone. I wish him well. He is in Ukraine, and his country is currently under attack by Russian fascists. I am saying this as a former Russian resident, Russian citizen. I am originally from St. Petersburg, that even though we are covering an aircraft that was produced in the Soviet Union in Russia, that in no way, shape, or form do I support what is going on in Ukraine. Glory to Ukraine. The Russian warship can go fuck itself. And that being said, let's get back to the subject of aviation. So we are sitting cold and dark in Moscow, and we are going to fly to St. Petersburg. What I'm about to show you here is the cold and dark startup procedures, which I have struggled with greatly. So hopefully, especially to those of you who do not read Russian, maybe the fact that I can understand the labels and I can show you what is what in this extremely complex cockpit will make it a little bit easier for you to get around this aircraft and get it working, right? Just to kind of get started, we're going to bring up a panel. This is done by Shift 2, which is a side panel of the various 2D panels, most of which I do not use as I do not need them. The one panel that you do need to bring up here is the PAL. That is the initial panel that lets you specify if you're flying within the former Soviet Union. It lets you specify what airport from to which airport you are flying. And this is all of your this is your distance in kilometers. This is your takeoff weight in kilograms, your fuel weight, and this is your center of gravity. You have your V1, VR, and V2 are right over here. This is your cruise altitude. So since today's flight is going to be at 36,000 feet, I'm going to go ahead and change that. This is your transition height. Okay, the important things that this is pre-flight checks, right? And you have the engine startup and all of these options. I leave them red and on, so that way the crew can work. A very important thing is to enable these boxes here, which allows your virtual flight crew to perform all of these tasks. So once you do this, I just kind of let it be, and I forget about it. I'm currently fully loaded in terms of fuel. I have 100% fuel. I'm not going to worry about explaining fuel loads to you right now, because that's kind of outside of the scope of this video. But let's just say we're going to have full tanks of gas to get wherever it is that we're going. It doesn't really matter because we're not actually doing the flight. We're just doing the engine start today. All of this stuff is really highly irrelevant. So let's just get this bird started. So once I'm done with that, I can click away from the PAL window, and I can also kill off the side panel. I don't need it here. So I'm going to go, just to kind of give you an idea, I'm using the MyNL software that allows you to do navigation by RSBN, which is an old archaic Soviet navigation system, somewhat related to military TACAN, but it's not really, most of those beacons have been decommissioned, but if you want to do authentic navigation the way they did it in Soviet Union back in the day, this program allows you to do it. And also the most important thing that it allows you to do is interact with your virtual flight crew so that you can get it to work with you and you can issue them commands. These respond to voice recognition, but since most of you do not speak Russian, I would imagine, well, those who don't, this is not going to be relevant for you. So right now what I'm going to select, though, is I'm just going to say, okay, my flight crew, please report your readiness.
Экипаж доложить готовность к полету.
Навигационно-пилотажное электро- и радиооборудование проверено. Замечаний нет. Штурман к полету готов. Тап убран, двери, люки надежно закрытые, заглушки, чехлы заземления сняты на борту. Бортмеханик к полету готов. Предполетный осмотр выполнен. Замечаний нет. Второй пилот к полету готов.
Okay. And for the purposes of doing this flight and this demonstration, usually you would go through a lot of the checklists using the virtual flight crew. I am not going to do that today. Again, most of the functions that they would perform for you, I am actually going to go ahead and do that so that you are able to go ahead and get this thing started from cold and dark by yourself without them doing things. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and go down into the flight deck. Couple of things to keep in mind. On the outside, you will notice that the aircraft initially, before I gave that command of readiness, the aircraft initially had the chocks, it had the covers. And one thing that they do not do that for you, even though they say that they do, is they don't shut this door. So we're going to go ahead and have to manually shut this door when we are ready to do that. So may as well just go ahead and get it done now. We're going to go ahead and walk this way. Open this door. And there's the handle. We can go ahead and shut it. Okay, excellent. So the electrical panel is down there, just so you know, in case that is not very clear. This is the electrical panel on the left here, and the navigator station is this way. So the first thing we want to do is on the electric panel, we want to turn on the batteries. Battery 1 and battery 2 are located right over here. The reason I'm doing this video is because when I was looking for somebody to do this, to do a detailed walkthrough, everybody either mumbled or they did it really fast or they didn't talk about this in detail, so I struggled for quite a while before, and I had to seek Alexei's help to be able to do it. So I'm hoping that I'm going to go through this very clearly so that you could see exactly what I'm doing. So I'm opening these two guards for the batteries. This is battery 1, battery 2. I'm turning these on. Okay, so my aircraft is powered from batteries. This switch here, the top position enables it to power from APU and the bottom from ground power. So I'm going to flip it to the bottom right now so that it's using ground power as a source. You will be able to see that the ground power, this is RAP. That means basically ground power. So you will see that you're getting voltage from there. And this is your general in the system power, right? You could see that you're getting that. And the last thing that you need to do, close the guards by the way, is enable the APU and ground power connected into the system, right? Which is that. Okay, now that we've done these things, batteries, ground power on, and plug in the ground power and APU into the system, we're no longer wasting batteries, and we are able to not discharge them and get the rest of the stuff done that we need to do. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is turn on the APU so that we are not wasting any more time. We need to get this thing on the road. We're going to go ahead and overhead view here. Okay. So in the overhead view, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and enable the fire system. Okay, this is done by this switch here. There are also two other things that get enabled here. These two lights turn on green. This technically, while you are, before you're taxiing, this gets enabled too. This is mostly for ground. But once you enable this, you will not, there's a bug in the current release, you will not be able to disable it. So I'm not going to enable it right now. That's really not going to affect anything. Just leave this be. I'm hoping that once the Russian war is over, Alexei will be able to get back to the development of this aircraft and handle these few remaining things. But he's well aware of a few of these outstanding issues, right? So the other thing that needs to happen is we're going to go ahead and turn on our fuel pumps. See, these two switches here is really all you need to turn on the APU. These right ones are going to be for engine feeding, but I'm going to go ahead and just get all of them turned on now for the sake of brevity. So this is all four on, and this is automatic and automatic fuel transfers here, right? So all of these switches on, that's ready to go. While we are here, we're going to go ahead and enable this. This has something to do with the engines. So the other thing, I might as well just enable these two switches. This one stays with the guard open, the one on the left. So just leave it that way, and that stays on during the flight in this position. Okay. So the other thing that I'm going to enable is this switch here. IT 2T. So this is all I really need in terms of fire system, fuel pumps, right, and a couple of these engine-related switches. The other thing I need to enable is the hydraulic pump. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and enable the hydraulic pump. Now I am ready to start. But one thing, I'm just going to enable the beacon now. So this is the light switch here. Okay. Finally, on the first officer side, okay, I might as well just do it now. I like to take care of these things right away. Okay. This is control that gets enabled. The fan can stay disabled for now. Okay. The first switch here is enabled. This is the no smoking. You have the fasten the seat belts. These two switches normally remove the engine covers. I'm gonna leave them in the up position, just kind of inspect the engine covers, that make sure that they're off, and they are. Great. So now I'm going to go ahead and... wrong view. Okay, no, right view. Okay, let's just go back here. I'm going to go ahead and open the windows. And the APU panel is located right over here. Okay, that's where it is. A lot of people use 2D panels to operate this aircraft. I know that this is an old school way of doing things, but I don't like to do that. So I just use the virtual cockpit in 3D the entire time. You can do that, all right? So the APU panel view is here. So here's a couple of things that we're going to do. We're going to open this this here. This is the main switch. So we're going to go ahead and turn that on. This was permission to start the APU from ground. Okay. This says ready to start. This is the actual button that enables the switch that enables the starting mode. So you flip that up. And now that this is up, I'm going to enable the vibration sensor. I am going to press this button, which is the APU start button. So this is the start and this is stop. So that's how you stop the APU. This is how you get it going. So start the APU here. And we are ready to power this on. Excellent. So this is powered on now. Before we enable bleed air, which is what this is, this needs to run for about a minute. We're going to go ahead and enable the two switches on this panel that need to happen. This and that. That's why we enabled the hydraulic pump, so that this could work. Okay, so APU has started. We're going to go ahead and go to the electrical panel now. Now on the electrical panel, the main thing we need to do is enable the APU generator. So this is done by switching this switch from the ground power to the APU. Boom. This green light, it says APU generator is on, which is perfect. So now that we have enabled the APU, I'm going to go ahead and turn on okay, let's get rid of the armrest. Turn on a couple of things here. COM1, COM2, you will not be able to communicate on your radios or talk to ATC unless you enable these two switches. So that's where they are. I'm going to go ahead and do that now. The other thing that is going to happen is under this black guard is an electrical component that gets turned on while your APU is working, but it gets turned off once you start your engines. You're going to hear that sound. And now the virtual flight crew has asked to turn off ground power. So we are now officially disconnected from ground power. We are autonomous, okay, and we are... Thank you. And we are ready to taxi at this point, right? So let's go ahead and pretend that we just got done taxiing, right? And push back and all of that other fun stuff. you can go ahead and do that. That's all fine and dandy. We are now ready to start engines. So in order to start engines, I'm going to go ahead and issue a command to the virtual flight crew that says we are ready to start engines.
Земля доложить готовность к запуску.
Предполетный осмотр двигателя произведен. Замечаний нет. Трап колодки убраны. Чехол заглушки снят на борту. Замки капота закрыты. Самолет к запуску готов.
Excellent. So now we are ready for engine start. That's great news. So a couple of things we need to check. On this left side here, under this green cover, is the engine start panel. That's where the engines actually get started. One of the things that you need to do before you do anything else is to enable fuel flow. It is not really like the Boeing where you introduce fuel once your N2 is at, above 20%. So we're just going to go ahead and enable the fuel flow. Now for both left and right engine, we're going to start engine number 1 first. The position switcher that regulates which engine is going to get started is right over here. So we're going to need to flip it on to the left side to start engine number 1 and flip it to the right side to start engine number 2. So we're going to go ahead and flip it to the left now. Now that that's flipped, I'm going to tell my flight crew that we're going to start left engine.
Запуск левого.
Понял, запуск левого.
So now we're just going to simply go ahead and press and hold this button for a little bit. The leftmost button that starts the left engine. Let's take a look on the electric panel what we have not done. We have electric power. We don't have bleed. That's what's wrong. Remember, we never enabled bleed air. So this switch here, and this is what you're going to watch, this gauge here. And now bleed air is good to go. So now we'll be able to start the left engine. Troubleshooting 101. This is why you want to have a checklist in front of you. Monitoring parameters. EGT growing. Starter is off. Great. All the parameters are normal. The left engine is on. Okay, perfect. Great. One thing that we have not done that you should do is you should flip the interceptor switch into the on position here. So now we're going to let the ground know that The left engine has been started and we're ready for the right engine start.
Земля левый запущен, правому запуска.
All right. And tell our flight crew that we're going to start the right engine.
Запуск правого.
All you have to do is flip the switch to the right. Your crew is going to acknowledge it. And we're ready for engine start.
Обходи правого, обходи. Обороты растут. ВНА минус 10. Параметры ВСУ в норме. Давление топлива, масло есть. Температура газа растет. Стартер отключился. Двигатель запущен, параметры в норме.
Okay, perfect. All right, we can flip this switch to the middle position and close this cover. We're not going to need this anymore. Okay. Our engines are now started. So what remains to do is to power on all of the remaining equipment, power on generators, and we're going to go ahead and go to the electric panel now. So the left two generators are for engine number 1 are here. The generators for the right engine, engine number 2 are here. Generators are on. So now we're going to put this switch to the left position. The voltage grows. Okay, we're going to go ahead and put this switch in the left position and flip on this switch. Okay. Here, everything is done. We simply need to enable all of this equipment here, which is mostly navigational stuff. Excellent. A couple of other things. Flight recorder and other things. These 2 switches go on. These 3 switches go on. Here we're going to enter the date. And the flight number. And this is the clock. Whatever local time it is right now, 10:30. So this is 22:30. Okay. On the navigator panel, there's also this clock that you can adjust. But that's okay. We'll worry about that later. You can adjust the clock anyway. You know how to adjust clocks. I don't really need to explain that to you. This switch is on, and the mode is from this, which is on as well. So, okay. The APU. First of all, remember this, the switch that we turned on by the captain's seat over here? This can go off now. Bye-bye. Okay, APU. We're going to turn off bleed air first. Watch this gauge go down. Now that this gauge is down, I'm gonna press the stop button here. Watch these gauges go down. The mode can go under cold, and the main power switch for APU can go off. The flaps are done. Close the guard. Now we are going to move to the overhead panel. Okay, on the overhead, as a rule, everything that isn't on gets turned on. At this point, everything can go on. This is all of your equipment here, and all of your hydraulics, and all of that. Couple of things you really ought to be familiar with where they are. So, a few things. Let's just turn on most of these things, and then I'll explain a couple of switches that are rather important, and you should know what they are. This is a test. Green, green, that's good. All right. Things you should know. So this is your lights. Since we're going to be in taxi mode, okay, we're going to go ahead and extend the lights, which is done by doing that. And this is the control. Low light is on top. High light is on the bottom. So we're just going to put both of these on the lower light setting. This is your anti-ice. Engine. Okay, this is a stabilizer. This is your wing. These can stay off for now. Okay. Window heat. Okay, we're going to turn on low window heat on both sides. Okay, these left and rightmost switches are pitot heat. So these normally go on right before takeoff, okay? And their state is being signified right over here by these two white lights. Why this left switch is signified by a light that's located all the way to the right? Hey, design intricacies of the Soviet aircraft. Go figure. So we're gonna go ahead and turn off the pitot heat for now. Okay. Other than that, that takes care of everything. Couple of things. This is your nose wheel steering. 55-degree wheel turn is really what it means. This is auto brake. That gets enabled. So nose wheel steering gets turned on. Now, you see these. This is your this is brake, and this is emergency brake. This is hydraulic systems that need to be done. We're going to turn on this pump so that this only works when it needs to work. It automatically does that. If this switch is in the automatic position, this basically works automatically when it needs to. So that is okay. But this needs to be green, and we're gonna hold this button, this black button, up on top and monitor that gauge. Excellent. Both of these should be all the way to the top. That's good to go. On this panel here, we can turn these two things on. And don't worry about the rest. This is ventilation. This is on the ground from APU, but I didn't turn that on. This is on. This is fine. Automatic consumption at 115 volts. This is fine. Okay. The one thing that I need to show you how to do is how to calibrate this navigational instrument. You need to know what your coordinates are. Therefore, I'm going to look it up on MyNL right now where we're located. Okay, we are located in Moscow. Here we go. We are at 55.9. So basically at 56, right? North. So this needs to be at 56. North, right? These tooltips are really great at telling you what's happening. Okay, so this is north, this is south, that's your switch. Okay, and this is main, and that's extra on the bottom switch, right? And there's 3 positions here: MK, GPK, and AK. So MK stays on the left, okay? And you need to watch this here. This is gonna move. This is basically alignment, right? That's something that is done automatically on the new aircraft. This all had to be done manually on the old one. So we're not changing anything from the cold and dark position. Once we have set 56 here, we're going to press this button here on the bottom. We're gonna hold it until this display stops moving. So I'm watching this, right? Okay, see? It's kind of wobbling in one place. That means it's done. So now we're switching from main to extra. And we're going to do the same thing. Okay, it's wobbling and it's done. Now from MK, we're going to switch to GPK, which is this middle position. And we're going to leave it on the extra. Now we're going to hold this button here. Okay, so that's done. But this is on extra, so now we need to do GPK on main. Switch it to main. Hold it again. That's it. Now you should be aligned and good to go. So remember, you start on MK. Okay. Enter this first. Start on MK. Align. Switch it to extra. Align. Switch it to GPK. Align. Switch it to main. Align. That's it. That's the sequence. And over here, we need to enter our heading. Sorry, my brain stopped working for a second. So this is the heading from which we are going to take off. If we're taking off from 24 left, our heading is 245. So that's where we're gonna enter that here, 245. Okay, so it's now at 2:45. All right. In terms of navigation, this is your VOR1, VOR2. Okay, so you enter your nav1, the frequency for your runway that you're taking off from. This is your nav2, and these are your ADF, right? And this is your RSBN stuff, but that gets handled by the automated navigator. Okay, so if you're looking at the flight plan of what it's going to proceed as, right? Technically, I'm going to take off from here. I'm going to go, fly to this fix, fly here, right? This is an NDB. This fly to this fix here. Okay, and let's zoom out a little bit. Okay, fly to here. Now, this I'm going to hand fly all of this stuff here, right? So in terms of RSBN, what I do is I'm gonna hand fly all of this, and I'm going to set my RSBN to the first fix. Okay, that is going to be after my, I guess, SID that I'll start flying, right? So this first where is this? There goes. This is Toknu, right? So Toknu, I'm going to find that here. I'm going to highlight this line. And there's an English version of this app, by the way, this MyNL app. So I'm going to highlight this line and say, enter the parameters of this into RSBN. It says send it to TU-134, yes. Okay, so this line here, this Toknu, wrong one, we just did Genpa. Okay, go to this one instead. Yep, okay, so Toknu. So for waypoint Toknu, we just entered the parameters to RSBN. So now our RSBN is tuned to go into here. Once we reach this, okay, everything is going to, it's just going to proceed from one to the other, and it's just going to navigate on its own, right? So that's, you don't actually need to do anything here. This is all done automatically by your navigator. Okay. Okay. Is your brain fried yet? All right. This is your nose wheel steering here. You can enable that here. Okay. Autopilot needs to be prepped. This switch, this wheel here, needs to be unlocked. And then we can turn it so that it's kind of facing us. Now we can lock it again. Right? Cool, right? So, autopilot preparation. This is lateral and this is vertical. So we're going to prep it vertical, prep it lateral, right? And now this is the master switch to prep everything. So now it says ready and ready. Okay? So now your autopilot is ready to go. Once you're ready to enable it, okay, this is the button that enables it once you're in the air. This here is course, and this is approach, and this is hold altitude. Okay, so you don't set altitude, you'll just have to manually monitor your altitude. Once you're at the altitude, gradually decrease this here. This wheel is going to be your pitch trim. So you gradually decrease your pitch until your vertical speed on this gauge here is practically zero. Once you're close to zero, enable this KV button and it's going to hold your altitude, right? Okay, if you want to hold heading, you set your heading that you want to fly to with this needle here. Once you set your heading, this switch to the left will hold heading. Otherwise, if you want to follow RSBN, okay, which you do, we just configured it, this is going to enable it to follow RSBN. The APANU. That's what this says, and that's how you fly RSBN. This is your auto throttle ready. May as well set that up. If you decide to use auto throttle, all you'll need to do is press this button and your current indicated airspeed, which is over here, this is in hundreds, by the way, in kilometers per hour. So this is going to hold whatever your current speed is. And down here, of course, in all the places that make sense or not, is your increase and decrease. So increase, this is decrease, this is increase, so that's going to move the bug that's going to appear on here. But don't move it in too high of increments, that will disconnect your auto throttle. You could technically move it in a very, very small increments. So move it just a little bit, you know, if you're trying to gain speed, move it just a little bit. Wait until it catches up, then move it just a little bit more up, just to say like 20 kilometers per hour or something like that, okay? Because I think 25 is the limit right now of the increments in which it will not disconnect to auto throttle. I think in real life it's something like 5, but it's very, very sensitive in the simulator. So that's how you use auto throttle. What else can I cover? Okay, so pre-takeoff procedures, okay? Turning on your fan will tell your flight crew that your engines have been warmed up, by the way, okay? We can turn on this fan by the first officer as well. And there's one by the navigator as well. Isn't that exciting? So the one thing that plagues my mind at night, right, and doesn't let me sleep, is whose brilliant idea was it to put moving fan blades in front of somebody's face? Literally physically moving fan blades. Only in Soviet Russia will design like this fly. I guess maybe not, but I mean, geez, that's just brutal. So, okay, I have covered this. Oh, RSBN, by the way, speaking of RSBN, you want to move this position switch here to RSBN in order for it to follow RSBN. This here is nav1 and nav2, so if you want to move between RSBN, nav1, and nav2, that's what allows you to do that, right? And yeah, a couple of other things. This here, this red light is fairly important because that lets you know that you have too much fuel. And until you burn that fuel, you should not exceed 500 kilometers per hour indicated airspeed. So this means lower than the 500 kilometers per hour. So make sure that until that display goes out, that you stay below 500 kilometers per hour. That really covers everything that I wanted to cover here. Yes, this is crude. It is not exactly according to checklists. But this video would be 3 times as long if I actually did it by checklist. Yes, one thing, stabilizer here. Okay, the stabilizer needs to be at 1.5 for takeoff. This thing here moves up and down, so you could actually tell your virtual flight crew to do it, but I'm going to show you. Watch this gauge, and I'm going to move this. I'm going to hold it in place. See, I'm moving it to 1.5. So moving it to 1.5 for takeoff, and assuming you want to take off with flaps 10, that's the flaps switch. Flaps indicators are going to move it to flaps 10 now. Okay, this is your gear, and this is a neutral position. So yes, when you raise it, eventually, like on the Boeings, you need to move it to the neutral position. So, ladies, gentlemen, girls and boys, thank you for watching. This covers everything that I wanted to cover. Thank you to Alexei. Слава Украине! Русский военный корабль, иди нахуй.